let's finish up with GameMaker. Alright, and we find ourselves the last time here for a while at least with GameMaker, and we're actually on the GameMaker.io website right here. So there's a very important thing and that I want to mention. Number one, which games have even been made with GameMaker? Well, you can go to this showcase site over here and you can see, for example, Undertale has been made with GameMaker, which is pretty freaking cool. There's also Forager, which is quite a big game. Nuclear Throne, Hotline Miami, people know that. Coke Surf Delicious 2, which is pretty freaking cool. So there are definitely a few games that you should at least have heard of, at least if you're a little bit in the indie scene, so to speak. So you can see there are quite a few of them that are in here, right? And then, and then a couple of them may or may not be a little bit more unknown, but you can see there's quite a few games that have been, published over here. I think Crashlands, I've seen that before as well. I was pretty impressed. You can even see a Switch game over here. So there are definitely games being published with this and, basically being made with this. Once again, I totally agree that there might be scalability issues at some point. It also really depends on how many people you have working in GameMaker at the same time, right? So it might be that a team of like 5 people with 2 developers. Maybe that's going to be a little bit of a clash in there because the way that this is basically all set up, if you're working on like the same project and the same objects, so there might be a thing there. But if you're a single solo developer, I do feel like this might be workable. I do feel like GameMaker might be an interesting choice to at least think about making a couple of games with. And then there's one thing, and going forward, we're going to be doing that in the future as well for each of the engines. So number one, what is the tier? So what is the costs? The costs here they're basically negligible because, to be honest, the creator one costs $50 a year, which is definitely okay. The indie one costs $100 a year, which basically gets you even web and mobile exports. And then if you really want console exports, then it's, if you go for the yearly version, it's $800 a year. But honestly, as soon as you're thinking about console exports, $800 a year should definitely be in the budget. I'm just saying. Yeah, and then there's, of course, a few other things that you get with the Creator, Indie, and Enterprise versions. So when it comes to the prices, they are definitely totally fine, and you can, of course, use the free version for as long as you want, basically. The one thing that I'm pretty sure that the Creator version sort of gates behind is the desktop exports. So basically, before you can even test the game on desktop, you will need to get the Creator version, which is a little bit of a shame. But once again, it's either $5 a month or it is $50 a year, which overall, it's fairly all right. That's an okay price, all things considered. I do want to mention, and that is the user agreement. Because, well, it always comes down to this, because some of us are Unity refugees. What we are looking for is an engine that we might be able to use in the future. And well. So first of all, GameMaker, of course, is a proprietary engine. That means that it is not open source, and GameMaker is 100% intellectual property of Yo-Yo Games right here. And there is one thing, and that is a big thing, and that is the changes, right? So if we do changes over here and see changes to this user agreement. Now I want to have a huge disclaimer over here. I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I am just reporting on the understanding of this. My understanding of this is that the changes to this user agreement, right? They might change the user agreement. Makes absolute sense, right? If so, they make a revised version available online with reasonable efforts to inform you of the changes. That is a very good thing. However, it will become legally binding once we post it online. I'm unsure if this is entirely correct, but let's just assume that it is, right? If you don't agree to the new version, you must stop using the Yo-Yo game property completely. So basically, you cannot use GameMaker if there is a change that you disagree with. So sadly, we are right back at square one. So this is the case that in theory, I'm not saying that anything would ever happen. I'm just saying that it could be the case that they make a change similar to Unity. And if you don't like the change, then you have to stop using GameMaker. I just want you to be aware of this. So if you do stake on making a game, there could be things happening. In English, the saying is trust but verify. And in German, we say a similar thing, and that is Vertrauen ist gut, Kontrolle ist besser. And that basically is the same thing, right? It's like trust is good, but double checking is better. And basically, yeah, so you would have to trust that nothing shady would be happening in terms of the changes over here for the user agreement. So if there would be a thing that would happen, then you basically have almost no recourse to really change it. So it is a bit of a shame, right? They do say in order to make the YYG property work properly, they need to have everyone using it under the same rules instead of different people having different rules. While I sympathize with that, I do think that this would be the one thing that if that was to change, then I would be totally fine basically shouting the name of GameMaker from the rooftops to everyone. But right now, as it stands, I think that it's a cool engine, and you know, just testing out a few things and maybe making a small game in that, absolutely fine. Staking your entire business on it, I would probably not. But yeah, that is it for the GameMaker saga. In terms of the actual engine itself, right, like the way that it works, absolutely beautiful. I really like it. I really like the way that this works. I intuitively understand this, and I can definitely recommend it. In terms of the legal stuff, right, if you like really want to do a game with it, and you know, you have a business, you have a game studio, definitely think 2 or 3 times about that, whether or not you want to do that, because they could in theory change their TOS at any time, and you would have to agree with it or just stop using GameMaker altogether, which is a little bit of a bummer. But with that, that ends the saga for GameMaker. Maybe we're going to see tutorial on this in the future, because I really do like the tech over here. I just wish they did something about the legal stuff, but I guess you can't have everything. For just playing around a little bit, I think that that's going to be totally okay. But that's going to be it for the GameMaker series over here. Click on this video as soon as something is out. We're going to see another engine and going through that, and hopefully being blown away just as much as with GameMaker. Hope to see you there. So, yeah.